Blizzard has just revealed exactly what Azeroth is, and through a single sentence in a single quest, has managed to lay the foundations for the entire big reveal in the upcoming expansion trilogy. It all has to do with Koresh, the homeworld of the Ethereals, still floating out there somewhere in the infinite space of the great dark beyond. Okay, let me start from the beginning. It has been so long since we had any real information on the Ethereals, I had to go back and relearn everything that we knew. Which means I get to give you a brief refresher. Or maybe this is your first time hearing about it. The Ethereals were an exceptionally advanced species that lived on the dry, arid planet of Koresh. They shared this planet with a few other yet unnamed sentient species. Almost nothing is known from the time before the event that would irrevocably transform them into what we know today. Their government was composed of a ruling class known as the Ethereum, being led by the Nexus Prince xal'atath. But the cause of what happened to them appears to either not be fully known or understood, or perhaps even forgotten. What we do know is that an ancient and terrible being had found their world and would lay siege to it. Dimensius the All-Devouring had come. A void lord of terrible power had manifested itself within the boundaries of the physical universe, opening countless dark portals across the surface of the planet, allowing the twisted monstrosities of the void to pour through and bathing the world in their dark twilight energies. The mortal races fought back hard, and for a time they would hold the line. But time, this is one resource they did not have an abundance of. Each passing moment saw Dimensius grow in power, and with it the magnitude of the assault. To halt the flow of the dark energies ravaging their world, they began to construct magical barriers around their cities. Once again, these barriers would hold for a time, but they were losing ground. It would not be enough. While the shields could block the void energies, it could not stop the raw arcane power from tearing through them. The arcane energies destroyed their bodies and would even suffuse their very souls. Both a blessing and a curse, the Ethereals could now subsist even without their physical form, beings of pure energy. They bound themselves in arcane cloth and became the race we know of today. They lost the war for their home. The void is relentless, and under the rule of the Ethereum, they fled, leaving their old lives behind. But they were far from powerless. These new forms granted them many boons. They poured themselves into the one thing that could truly sustain them: vengeance. This singular focus made them formidable enemies, but this same vengeance began to eat at them from within. They could not truly begin to live again while still bound to their past, and the once unified Ethereum Council would begin to fracture. Some of the Nexus Princes split off, forming their own factions. The Protectorate was among the first to form, a faction that believed the Ethereum's obsession was now the greatest threat to their people. Then there is the Consortium, composed of traders, smugglers, and thieves. The pursuit of wealth and power is their main concern. They will always be ready to help, for a price. But altogether more disturbing, some of the Ethereals fell to the void. While some succumbed completely, others managed to wield the dark gifts for their own benefit, becoming Nexus stalkers. xal'atath was slain by the Protectorate with the aid of adventurers on Outland during the events of the Burning Crusade, but the Ethereum and their any means necessary brand of vengeance are still out there today. This is not the last we have seen of them. So, how does this story tie into the trilogy? How does Koresh suddenly explain what is happening to Azeroth? During the event quest Radiant Warnings, we get a cutscene that is, in my opinion, the largest foreshadowing World of Warcraft has done in years. Let's watch this together.
So it is xal'atath who has claimed the Dark Heart. I understand now why she calls herself a harbinger.
I've had enough riddles for one day.
The radiant visions you spoke of are the very same my people had, before our world was consumed by the Void Lord Dimensius.
What? You don't think... Could xal'atath be seeking that same fate for Azeroth?
I fear that is precisely what she intends. You must find a way to stop her.
To unpack this properly, we need to understand what the Radiant Song is. The game itself has explained it as a series of visions of an ancient being calling out from the heart of the world. As of right now, the consensus is that these visions are emanating from Azeroth herself. The world's soul within is calling out for aid against an imminent threat. This has huge implications. It means Koresh must also have contained a world soul. This also explains something that Ian Hazzikostas said at Gamescom way back in 2017 leading up to Legion, that there was a connection between the Draenei and the Ethereals. Both of them came from homeworlds inhabited by a world soul. Both of them had to flee. Both of their world souls were corrupted. It has also been clear for some time that the world souls are not nascent titans, but they have the power of pure potential. What they are is beyond the purview of this video. My personal opinion on this seems to shift a lot, from them being the first ones, to entirely new beings born in the Great Framework. I will leave that up to you to decide. Okay, tinfoil hat warning from here on out. We are caught in the middle of a cosmic civil war. The forces of the universe are out of balance. While we cannot know what event preceded such a shift, we can, however, observe the consequence. Each force within the universe is seeking to empower their position against the other. Where once the song of harmony flowed between the forces, now there is only discord. There are no exceptions. This means the Titans are also doing the same. I would urge you to remember, it is possible for them to believe they are doing it for the greater good, or some mandated greater purpose set out by the first ones. Every villain is the hero in their own story. The world souls are the ultimate currency in the conflict. They contain the potential for limitless power. To control them is the ultimate goal, Azeroth. Time and again, we are told it is something special, more powerful than the rest, and it would be the crowning jewel. Each power has its own methods for achieving the same ends, to corrupt a world soul and shift its balance in their favor, just as we have seen in Argus. Sargeras was able to shift his balance towards death, just as I believe the Void was able to shift the balance of Koresh towards shadow. The radiant song the Ethereals heard was the world soul calling out in the moments before the shadows claimed it. Dimensius the All-Devouring did not descend upon the world. He was born from it. He awoke within a world soul of pure entropy, an ever-consuming, hungry void. Xal'atath has long since worked toward the same goal for Azeroth, but there has been fierce resistance along the way. The ancient Tauran myths tell of the age where shadow descended and many were lost to the core of the void. The void energies twisted some of the native fauna and flora to become aberrations. These beings feasted on the life energies of the world. Becoming fat and drunk with dark power, they believed themselves gods as they grew to unimaginable heights, a symptom of the infection that had claimed the world. But the Void was not the only force with designs on Azeroth. The forces of order could not allow an all-powerful world soul such as Azeroth to succumb to such a fate. They declared open war against the Void and managed to claim victory. However, the infection had deep roots. It would take time to reverse the Void's influence. It would take time to shift the balance toward order. They had their constructs build prisons to contain the infection and build facilities across the world to begin research into how to destroy it. They built purification plants to suffuse the planet with the scintillating energies of the arcane. And through this, they would sway Azeroth to order in time. However, another force worked swiftly to subvert them both. The domain of life through the Titan Ionar would make sure they gained a foothold. Despite Amanthal's direct attempts to stop it, the roots of the Great World Tree would reach deep beneath the world, and their agents would work to halt any further corruption. The war within Azeroth has finally begun. xal'atath finally has the means to usher in the final days, to claim Azeroth for the Void and claim victory, unless we can stop her, of course. However, it seems that no matter how hard we try, the Void has foreseen much. We cannot stop what is to come. The Dark World soul is awakening, the radiant song replaced by a waking nightmare. The age of midnight is upon us. Like the Ethereals before us, we will have to erect barriers. However, we have a source of power they did not. The radiant energies of the Sunwell must be protected, our last hope. We will have to travel to what is left of Koresh, the ruined world of a corrupted Titan. Here, the denizens of Azeroth will learn the terrible truth. The forces we once believed guided us were trying to control us. And there is only one thing left to do. Despite knowing it could be the end, they awaken Azeroth. They will have to become the champions of their world soul. They will use the power and gifts they have accumulated to push back all those who would threaten her. We will have to hope the last Titan can see clearly. We will have to hope we are enough. Okay, a reminder. This is just what I believe. I do try to err more on the side of a realistic rather than personal wants, with as much evidence as I can find. But for me, this makes the most sense. You are welcome to agree or not. Let me know in the comments, or tell everyone your thoughts instead. Most will have clicked off, but for those of you sticking it through to the end, you are now my favorite. I know I went a long period without posting, with little explanation. Had some medical problems, but recently got some good news. So, we're back, and hopefully much improved. So, huge thanks to everyone for listening. Really hope you enjoyed it. Oh, and don't forget to come back anytime.